So the spiritual exercises were created by St. Ignatius as he noticed his own interior movements of consolation, desolation, his best self, his worst self, demons he was wrestling with pride and ego. And so it started as a journal. It started as he noticed this, and the Lord was really generous with him and very patient with him and hand-holding him as he was like an egotistical maniac and like was living in a cave and wanted to kill himself. And that's where it started. And so it's this tremendous growth. So it started as someone's journal that he realized were universal truths about humanity and the human condition. And I actually, maybe someone else has said this first, but I think Ignatius is the first psychologist. He just like understood the human psyche, and he understood the role of pride and ego and how that can be to our downfall. And he also experienced that because he grew up wealthy and he knew what it was like to have everything at his fingertips. So that's the background. The book is the recipe book. So if the exercises, if the experience are the cake, the recipe book is the written word that you should not be reading by yourself if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't mean that as a caution. You can read it. It's just really boring and doesn't make any sense unless you have someone to guide you. And Ignatius is very clear that this is the spiritual exercises book is for the director, not for the retreatant. The retreatant is to work directly with God, and the exercises are 4 weeks, if it's done in the full form, to come to know and love and serve the Lord. So in the first week, you know yourself as a loved sinner, and that's a lot of interior process. I think the AA community would be very familiar with that week of the exercises of kind of coming to see your own shortcomings. And yet, we're loved by God. And then we pivot to the second week when we come to know and love the Lord as his companion. And so we see how God intervenes, God's self in salvation history. And that happened a long time ago, and you pray about all these times, and then how we're part of it. It didn't stop. It didn't stop when Jesus died. And so the third week is the passion and death of the Lord, and that's another hard week to experience as a pain avoider, as you're like, have come to know and love this guy, your friend Jesus, and you've seen him in ministry, and you've got to meet his friends, and you hung out with his family, and now you see him being tortured to death. And the grace in the third week is to not look away, is to stay present. And I think that's really important for us Jesuits, but anybody, is in our ministry and in our life, the grace is to not look away. As Afghanistan's falling, as there's an earthquake in Haiti, as people of color continue to be shot in America, the grace of the third week is to not look away from the suffering. And the fourth week is the resurrection. So you have come to know yourself as loved and companion of Jesus. Now go spread that love with those you encounter.